Hello and welcome to Anime Collector. This video is the third part of a three-part summary recap of the anime series Monster Girl Doctor. If you haven't seen the previous parts, click on the I button, and spoilers are coming for the rest of the audience. After Scotty falls during her speech, Glenn and Saphi go to see their mentor, Dr. Thulhi, an octopus demi-human. She is ecstatic to see Glenn and tickles him with her tentacles. Saphi, as usual, is envious and engages in a catfight with her, which is cut short as they all discuss Scotty's illness. Dr. Thulhi discloses that Scotty has a disease that is only marginally treatable at best. But the actual reason she isn't treating her is that Scotty is unwilling to get any treatment. Glenn feels compelled to treat her, but Dr. Thulhi advises the doctor dyad to return to their clinic and resume work. Back in the clinic, Kunai approaches Glenn and requests that he examine Scotty. Kunai devises a strategy to sneak Glenn into Scotty's room at night, knowing she is apprehensive of any examination. Later at night, Glenn sneaks into Scotty's chamber while Kunai and Saphi stand outside. Glenn is taken aback by the sight of Scotty without her magnificent wrapping clothing, as well as Scotty speaking in an audible voice. She looks calm as she sees him and allows him to examine her by revealing her blue-colored heart, which Dr. Thulhi thinks is a cancerous tumor. Actually, the tumor has produced another heart in her body, which is so dangerous that if any human had it, he would die instantly. Glenn strokes her heart, and during the session, Scotty claims that dragons aren't designed to live on Earth. She adds that her sickness is caused by the Earth's transforming impacts on dragons. Glenn, however, dismisses her fears in his head and continues to examine her. He discovers that her scales are too tough for a standard medical needle to slide through. Hereafter, Glenn tries to persuade Thulhi to assist with an operation to remove Scotty's tumor, but Thulhi is adamant that if it were possible, she would have done it already. However, she agrees on the condition that Glenn recruits someone who has multiple hands to lend a hand in the operation. After this, Glenn attempts to enlist Aranya in this endeavor, and she agrees. Kunai meets with Scotty to urge her to accept the treatment, but she declines, stating it is her fate to die with this illness. Across town, Glenn works on preparing a team for surgery. He pays a visit to the trusted Cyclops workshop, where he meets a purple-haired Cyclops, Meme. She leads him to her boss, and Glenn demands he craft powerful tools to penetrate the dragon's scales. The boss assigns Meme the task of creating Scotty's suture needle. On the other hand, Aranya is practicing surgical procedures on Kunai. Kunai informs the medical team that Scotty considers this illness her inevitable end, given that she has created Lindworm as a safe refuge for monsters. Glenn and Thulhi revisit the workshop and check the medical instruments prototypes. They are happy with the results and demand mass production of them. In her workplace, Meme is doing her job and suddenly collapses by staring at a spinning wheel. Soon, Illy delivers a message to Glenn that Meme has collapsed on the job. The medical team rushes to save her. Glenn examines her and soon finds that Cyclops have such acute vision that they develop motion sickness if they gaze at something moving for a long time. He treats Meme, and now that she is cured, they all return to the workshop. Here, Meme reveals that she has devised a method for mass-producing extremely strong needles. Rather than making numerous little needles, she twisted a long steel wire using a spinning wheel and chopped small sections as she bent it into form. Glenn and the shopmaster are impressed to see the final product. Glenn compliments Meme, and she runs off, flustered. After the city council meeting, Glenn approaches Lady Scotty and convinces her that he is resolved to have her undergo surgery, but Scotty respectfully declines and exits. In his clinic, Glenn is coaching Aranya on how to deal with the surgery procedure. When she begins flirting with him, Saphi clenches her teeth and sends Glenn out of the clinic, reminding him of going to the hospital. Later that evening, Saphi, Aranya, and Tizalia hang out in a pub. They call it a girls' night and share their views on love and friendship. Aranya says she doesn't differentiate between true and fake love, men and women, but follows what she loves. Saphi discusses the Jinjo alcohol Tizalia obtained from her East contacts. She goes on to say that this alcohol may be utilized as an aesthetic for dragons. Later that night, Saphi catches Aranya stealing a precious locket she gifted Glenn. Aranya tries to flee via the window, but is stopped by Tizalia. She drags her into the room and interrogates her. Aranya has no answers and instead talks about Glenn. The two laugh at her, and Saphi concludes that Glenn's love sickness causes Aranya's condition. Meanwhile, Glenn walks to the bell tower and meets Scotty, who appears to be melancholically relishing the city vista. She asks Glenn to pick her up for a better view of the city, and Glenn obliges. Scotty starts the conversation by stating that she worked hard to bring peace between humans and monsters. Now that her mission is fulfilled, heaven is the right place for her. Glenn ponders aloud if she should enjoy the fruits of her labor and live like an ordinary girl who wants jewelry, the city, and romance. Scotty seems to be moved by his words and agrees to the surgery. The big day of surgery has arrived. Lady Scotty is being operated on while lying on a stretcher. The operation appears to be going well until Scotty's dragon instinct detects a problem, much like the human homeostatic system. In reaction, her body begins to emit immense heat, with Thulhi stating that Scotty is a giant fire dragon concealed in a small form. Aranya and Saphi keep a safe distance from the heat as Glenn and Thulhi carry out the operation. Thulhi holds Scotty's chest skin open as Dr. Glenn cuts out the tumor with his knife. The surgery goes successful. The next day, Scotty steps onto a higher bridge, removes her veil, and delivers a speech in her voice. The people of Lindworm cheer as she vows to fulfill all of her duties. Scotty returns from her speech and speaks with Kunai, who admires her confidence in speaking in her own voice. After this, Scotty heads to Glenn's place after learning that he missed the ceremony due to Saphi's sickness. In his clinic, Glenn is treating Saphi, who is feeling under the weather. He observes Saphi having difficulty speaking, so he pulls out her snake tongue. He notices that she has a sore, so he applies honey-based balm to it. Then he puts Saphi on bed rest, and she sneaks beneath the covers, implying Glenn went closer to her when testing her tongue. After that, he walks out to make a house call and runs across Scotty, whose carriage is broken on her way to Glenn. She hugs Glenn and oddly calls him Big Brother after exposing her semi-naked body to show her healed body. She appears to be wooed by Glenn and asks him to go on a date, but he gently declines since he has a house call. Scotty sits down, sad, and both Kunai and Glenn try to cheer her up. Meanwhile, Meme arrives and inquires as to what is the matter. Glenn asks her to fix Scotty's carriage, which she does quickly. Scotty and Kunai board the carriage, but not before leaving Glenn and Meme 2 wine drums in gratitude for the surgery. Glenn summons Tisalia to assist them in carrying the drums. Glenn rides into Salia's carriage, while Meme rides in Kay's. On the way, Tisalia recommends a wedding, but Glenn respectfully declines. Soon, Glenn arrives home, only to be greeted by Arachnia, Illy, and her friends, who have brought several baskets of fruits and vegetables. When Saphi intervenes in the girls' cheesy hugs, Glenn reveals that he received far more fruit and wine as gifts from his patients on his way home. So, they decide to hold a dinner to share the fruits. Following that, there is a big celebration. Everyone has gathered beneath the moon and stars, sipping wine, partying, and exchanging jokes. Arachnia makes a joke about how every girl desires Glenn's affection. Tisalia and Saphi regard Scotty as a new contender for Glenn's love. Subsequently, Glenn gets smashed by a metric ton of monster ladies, but he throws a smile. The anime season ends with the narrator stating that Glenn Litbite has many more adventures ahead of him. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel to get more of such content. See you in the next video.